Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I also rise to make a contribution to this debate and agree with a lot of the sentiments, I think, from all sides of the House, is that small business is indeed the backbone of the economy, and they've done it incredibly tough for the last 12 months because of COVID. And as something I've said in this House now for over 12 months and in all deliberations in my community, small business and businesses of all size need consistency in decision-making from government and in the case of the matters that are before us at the moment in terms of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Issues as snap closures, lockdowns make it very difficult for businesses to survive. And I can only imagine being a florist in Melbourne last weekend, where you're preparing for your second biggest trading day of the year, and Valentine's Day. All of a sudden, Dictator Dan changes the rules, and your small business struggles. And I think that's, as I said before, the need for a consistent approach to really support the hospitality, retail, and tourism sectors. The snap lockdowns, circuit breaker lockdowns, they just don't work in terms of supporting the economy. The University of Adelaide SA Centre for Economic Study recently urged the state government to consider a more consultative approach with industry in response to the COVID-19 pandemic to avoid the disruption and losses by the hospitality sector. And the Centre for Economic Studies estimates that the 3 days in November, that the lockdown that we had in South Australia, and the forced shutdown of the economy and subsequent restrictions through to December 31st of 2020 saw a loss of more than 12,500 jobs, turnover reduced by some $100 million in that sector, $7 to $10 million in wasted food and beverages, $11 to $15 million in lost spending for tradies and contractors, $15.5 million in lost accommodation revenue. And these statistics are staggering for that economy and a result of a regime, an emergency management regime that is in place today. And back in November, and I said this at the time as well, it's the inconsistencies in the decisions made by the Transition Committee. For example, in the November lockdown, if you were a butcher, you could open. If you were a fruit and veg retailer, you could open. But if you were a bakery, you couldn't open. If you were a fishmonger, you could open. If you were a news agency, you couldn't open. And quite common, as in my community up in Blackwood, there are 5 exactly of those shops in a row in a strip shop at the Blackwood Shopping Centre. 3 could open during the lockdown, 2 couldn't. And it's those inconsistencies that are at the heart of what small business want to see removed, and to work with government for the betterment of their businesses, but indeed the whole community. And I know in my community, the number of local businesses were forced to absorb the cost of COVID lockdown. There was a lost revenue, lost stock, and a feeling of anxiousness amongst retailers. And so you can imagine the anxiety business owners have felt over the past year and continue to feel into 2021, especially those who work in the hospitality, retail, events and tourism sectors, and all business associated with these industries, such as photographers, wedding photographers, venue spaces, caterers and the like. And I think one industry that has been also unduly affected over the last 12 months is the small bar city venues and nightclubs. These businesses are draw cards for much needed tourism in our state, and something we should continue to promote. And whilst it's fantastic that the government has the holiday or the accommodation voucher scheme and is doing, I think, a pretty good job in supporting the accommodation sector, the night tourism sector is an important part of our economy as well. And it's been almost a year since dancing in South Australian venues has been banned. You can even dance in Victoria, and a lot of people have contacted my office. Many of my younger constituents concerned about this, and also now there's a discrepancy between whether a venue is putting on a function, in the CBD, and whether dancing is allowed at that venue, as opposed to say just a nightclub at the same time. And I suppose a question put to me by venue managers is, what is the difference in movement in a nightclub compared to a busy gym, a fitness centre, an indoor exercise class, or the storm that hits Bunnings every Saturday morning? and how different is the experience compared to a busy pub where people are brushing shoulders as they walk, say, to the toilet or the bar. So there are some, I think, 8,000 people who've recently signed a petition addressing the need to bring back dancing. And it's so important, I think, that there is a clear road pathway for this industry. And I echo the words of Harrison Raphael, co-owner of High Street venue Loverboy, that said, there doesn't seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just after some kind of roadmap for us as an industry to see a way for us to get back and a bit of transparency as well. So it's so important as the federal government's JobKeeper regime rolls out and comes to an end at the end of next month, that we do all that we can here in South Australia to remove roadblocks to South Australian businesses who want to employ and who want to do the right thing and want to get on with business. And one industry that has done so well in, I think, dealing with the difficulties of COVID-19 and restructuring their businesses has been the hotel industry. And it was really fantastic to join with the hotel industry last week, and members of this House, the Attorney General was there in her capacity as responsible minister. I know the member for Lee was there as well, and my colleagues in the upper house. But it was great to see such an important industry, an industry that employs tens of thousands of South Australians directly, many people, many casual workers in that industry, many young people in that industry. But importantly, not only they directly employ tens of thousands of South Australians in their venues, but their interaction with the food industry, with the catering industry, with the accommodation industry, with the wine industry, with our manufacturing industry. It's such an important part of our society, our community, in terms of job generators, what it does in the trade training area as well. And I know the Minister for Innovation and Skills has been doing a lot in that space as well in terms of the hospitality industry. And I just want to put my congratulations to many of the winners of the 2020 AHA Industry Awards for Excellence categories over the last year, and to the Marion Hotel for winning Best Overall Hotel in South Australia. But from talking to many of the venue owners, publicans and people who work in the hospitality industry, their desire to see a roadmap for continual government support in the sector is so crucial. So it's very important, and I'm grateful that both the member for Lee and indeed the member for King in her amendments have the opportunity to put this matter to debate today.
The member